Hey everybody, Tim here. Once again, I hope if you like the videos, click like, subscribe, follow. Today we're going to talk a little bit about why I get into gaming and reading and why I kind of harp on it so much for everybody who listens to me. But more importantly, I think I want to have a longer chat today about influences and how I kind of got where I am. And I started thinking about it after having a cup of coffee with another writer who writes in military fiction, sort of military historic fiction. The guy, Alex Aronson, that's one of his books. If you haven't checked him out, he's on social media. Check him out. The But I started thinking a little bit, and I was also driving across town to go to one of my favorite game shops, which is Madness Comics and Games over in Plano, who did not sponsor this video. So, but that's one of their aisles. It's tough for me to get out of there some days. But When I was driving over, I drove past the place, the church where my father's funeral was held, and he's been gone 12 years, but it got me thinking about why I am the person I am. And my dad was a software engineer, but outside of that, he was a gamer, and he was a gamer from the 60s or 50s on forward. And He's been gone, like I said, about 12 years now. But he goes, but he in my closet, I have his old war games, which are Avalon Hill, and some of these ancient ones that ancient to us, but were new to him. 1776, some of these others that were way back there. Rise and Decline of the Third Reich, and I played those as a kid. So when you grow up kind of surrounded by somebody who's playing strategy games and these larger war games, it kind of says, I want to do that, right? And my dad was a pretty quiet guy for a lot of reasons, but one of the things that he always told me is he when he left his engineering job, and he remember he was a software engineer for more than 40 years. He started in 1962 up until after the Y2K bug was over, when he ultimately retired. So his whole career was software. Um, but when he left work and when I first got into the sciences, I was like, Dad, how do you turn your brain off at the end of the day? I don't understand. Because yeah, if you're in those fields, you can kind of obsess and like that's your life. You're working on a project and you just like that's the only thing that goes through your brain. So my dad pointed out, he's like, well, I read a lot. I read fiction books, and he never wrote one, but he read a ton of them, and I have his collection that I think I've read most of now. But He also played a lot of war games, and later played video games and online games a couple of times. Atari 2600. We had a Pong machine at one point at home. But gaming was a reason for him to exercise the more creative centers of his brains and get out of the logic centers. So we've all known people who are workaholics and they kind of get stuck in one mode where it's like work mode and everything else, right? And there's that everything else is sort of like, why are you bothering me? I'm busy, right? Let me go do my job. I'm focused on whatever it is, software, real estate, automobiles, sales. I don't care what it is. You know people who are sole focused on that, and they sort of make time for other things, including their family. That wasn't really my dad. Yeah, he worked a lot and he worked very hard and he was at the top of the field, at least at the company he worked at. But uh, yeah, when he left work, he kind of sort of left work. He didn't like taking work phone calls outside of work. He didn't like every once in a while you'd catch him with some work on the weekends, but it wasn't often. But He would kind of go into gamer mode or reader mode when he left work. And I've noticed in my career the times when I've been more creative and I've been more productive during my workday are ones times when I've also outside of work been reading or been playing been a gamer. And so there's times when you play more or play less, and sometimes when you don't have a chance to play at all, you little kids at home, whatever the reason is. But when I do have make time for me to get into those centers of my brain, it makes me more productive at my work time. It's sort of the old saying of, do you work to live or do you live to work, right? Which one do you want to be? And I think gaming to me is sort of that reason that I go to work is so that I can afford my gaming habit, right? But it Also I think makes me a much better employee. It makes me much more productive. But it's because, and this is the key to this video, it's because I enjoy it. I have fun with it. It's a place I go to escape. So when I see these online fights about, well, you're not doing this right, you're not doing that right, do it my way. I'm the gatekeeper of the hobby. It's just a lot of noise. It's a worthless discussion. If you're enjoying it, have fun with it. If somebody's coming along to telling you you're having fun wrong, you don't need to worry about that person, because somebody who's going to lecture you on having fun wrong, well, they're just probably not going to be much fun to spend time with, right? So I kind of take pity on the people who come in and try to gatekeep or tell me how it is I need to go play a freaking game, because I feel like they don't really have anything else in their life to really hang on to, and they want you to be exactly the way they are. And that's kind of a problem. No two people are the same. If it was, RPGs or Dungeons and Dragons or Axis and Allies, and pick any of the games behind me, of which I only brought home two this time. I was good. I did bring home a new coffee mug. But it those are people that I really kind of feel sorry for. The edition wars get out of hand. You're not a true gamer unless these discussions get out of hand. I don't care if you're a true gamer, not true gamer, hobbyist. Some people call them tourists. If you're just getting into the hobby or you've been playing for 40 years, if it's fun to sit down and play with you, I don't give a shit if it's first, third, fifth edition of Dungeons and Dragons, second edition. I don't care. I probably don't like to play fourth, but it's not because of the people. It's just because I don't find that edition fun. So Newton, you want to play that one? You want to pick it. I'll show up to a board game night anywhere. Chess, go. I don't care. But it gets me out of those centers of my brain. So one of the things I've tried to do on my social media channels, and I think this is important for everybody to think about, is I don't talk about science that much. I've done a couple of videos on science. I don't talk about artificial intelligence. I don't talk about nuclear physics because it's my day job. I mean, I'll talk about it if you want, but I don't really want to. But what I do enjoy doing is reading. And I think those things make me a much better person at my day job. And one of the places I spent a large decade-long stretch of my career was working with people from MIT up in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And what you'll find among those people, even the professors, full professors of physics, Nobel laureates, pick it, because they're all over that campus, is you'll see them at their desk, you'll see them working very hard, but you also see somewhere in the room, there'll be a fiction novel hanging around, right? This is one of mine, but there'll be a book hanging around someplace that has absolutely nothing to do with their day job. Like this is The Moat in God's Eye by Niven and Pornell. But there'll be something hanging around that has nothing to do with what they do for a living. That's purely fictional, purely for fun, purely to relax. And those are people who are at the absolute pinnacle of the industry they work in, right? And they do this kind of stuff. So anytime somebody tells you, "Oh, it's a waste of time, why bother?" It's not a waste of time. It's a very viable pursuit for anybody. And I have people come at me on my social feeds and offline. "Oh, you're a grown up. Why are you still a gamer?" Okay, well, what do you want to do? Sit around and talk about how much some pro athlete's going to make on his next contract, a guy who you're never going to meet, and if you did, he wouldn't give you the time of day. Maybe he'd give you an autograph, but then it's next. Move on, right? So that's fine if you want to do that. I'm not going to, knock you. You go ahead to have fun. But if that's what you expect me to do with my time, pretty much sure you know where you can stick your head, right? I was a sergeant in the Army. We can discuss exactly where you should insert various body parts of yours inside your own body if you really want to, but I'm not sure it's anatomically possible, and I'm sure it wouldn't be comfortable. So my point is, if you're enjoying yourself, don't worry about what other people think. And if you are looking for a gamer companion, if it's offline, online, VTT, not VTT, there are people around who can help you kind of make connections. And I'm one of them. I got a number of larger social accounts now, and I know a bunch of people that are absolute, avid gamers. So reach out, say hi to somebody. Gamers are usually happy to talk to people. And if they're one of the people that are angry about different editions, just move on, talk to somebody else. It's okay. There's other farmer friendly people out there. So, if anyway, I hope everybody has a great week. I hope you enjoy whatever gaming you have planned this week or whatever reading you have planned. This week for me is a new version of Axis and Allies. So, the weekend with the kids this weekend, we're going to be playing Axis and Allies a little bit, but we'll see how that goes. So everybody have a great one, and I'll see you on the next video.